How many TikToks have you seen recently that are literally like, Pilates changed my body, resistance training did nothing? In today's video, we are going to be squashing all of the misconceptions regarding resistance training, how important it is for women specifically, and how resistance training may actually save you from an early death. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Evolve with Evie podcast, where we're evolving physically, mentally, and aesthetically to become the very best versions of ourselves. You guys know that I am obsessed with the continual evolving process, whether it be in your physique, whether it be in your mindset, whether it be in your habits and who you are. And today, I am very excited to be talking about the whole process of evolving when it comes to building muscle. So I know a lot of people talk about you should weight train, women should be weight training, you don't need to worry about getting bulky, but no one's telling you why you should be prioritizing resistance training. And I think it's something that we need to have a chat about because a lot of women, and I know a lot of you guys in particular, just don't really understand why it is that you need to be building muscle. What are the benefits? What happens if I don't build muscle? And so we're going to be delving into that in this week's episode so that you can really understand, like, building muscle will physically change your life. And I'm so excited to jump into this week's episode. So, muscle growth, hypertrophy. We all know muscle growth is a very beneficial thing. We all know how empowering it is to be in the gym, to be smashing out your weights, but maybe you don't quite understand how it can benefit your overall long-term health. Now, the biggest thing that I see women do is go to the gym, train, and not necessarily pick heavy enough weights for themselves, not really challenge themselves in the gym. And I know a lot of you guys have the goal, have the intention of toning up. This is like the biggest thing that I hear on consultation calls is, hey Evie, like I just want to tone up, I just want to look better in myself. And what we first need to debunk is there is actually no such thing as toning up. Toning up is essentially the process of building muscle mass and losing body fat. Now, when you want to have that nice, lean, defined back, that nice, lean, defined legs, the stomach, that is all the process of building muscle. Now, a lot of women, again, are afraid of getting really muscly, looking super bulky. And the people that you are afraid of looking like, 9 times out of 10 are going to be on some form of human growth hormone or steroid or some form of whatever. I don't even know the right words for them because obviously I'm not in that side of the fitness industry, but you don't need to worry about looking too muscular, quote unquote, through the process of muscle growth because genuinely it is very hard for you to achieve that. The people that you are comparing yourself to, that you're like, I would really like to look like that, 9 times out of 10 are going to be resistance training. They're going to be training very hard. Even if you've looked at my physique or you look at the physique of celebrities or our clients, they are all resistance training. There are so many benefits to resistance training. And again, through that process of building muscle and losing body fat, that's what's going to give you that nice, lean, toned appearance. Don't know if anybody else has tried to lose weight in the past and maybe you've lost quite a decent chunk of weight. What often happens is you've done it through running or you've done it through dieting. And because of this, you haven't had the chance to build any muscle. That kind of leaves you looking a little bit skinny fat. And I know for most women, we want to look toned. Like muscle definition is very, I hate saying this, but it is very in at the moment. Everybody wants to look more defined. Everybody wants to look like they work hard. And for me, a goal that I'm working towards always is having bigger glutes, having bigger delts. I want you to know that I work out. Like I want to look like I work out. And again, women think that they're going to look like that overnight. It is going to take years and years to build the amount of muscle mass that you're going to need for it to have that appearance, okay? So the first benefit to building muscle is obviously the appearance. Now, I had to start with appearance as the first benefit, otherwise you'd all be clocking out by now. If I say the words tone up, everyone's going to flock to this episode and go, I want to tone up too. And so that really is the hardcore truth of that. The only way that you are going to be able to tone up is by building muscle. I know you've seen on TikTok, I know you've seen on Instagram, I know you've seen on every single social platform, oh, Pilates helped me build more muscle and look more toned than weight training ever did. Now, let's debunk this first and foremost. The reason why this happened is most likely the women that were doing the weight training beforehand were A, not training correctly, and B, were carrying too much body fat to see that definition, okay? If you are carrying a lot of body fat, maybe you're carrying 25% body fat, and if you look online, you'll be able to find a example chart for you to assess around about where you're at. If you're carrying a lot of body fat combined with resistance training, it doesn't mean that you're automatically going to look toned. You are also going to have to lose the body fat to achieve the toned appearance that you want to achieve. It's not that Pilates is special. It's not like yoga or reformer Pilates or whatever they say it was. It's not that any of those things were inherently special. The truth was you just lost more body fat. And so if you want to lose body fat, you're gonna need a decent amount of muscle. Now, again, because of that same note, they probably built all of the muscle that they have through resistance training. But when they started to lean up through maybe increasing their activity, doing the Pilates, maybe eating a little bit less subconsciously, right? That's when you get that toned look. So the way to look toned, the way to look more balanced, the way to grow your glutes, the way to lean up your arms and have nice muscular arms and have a nice muscly back in a backless dress is by building muscle and losing body fat. Now, number 2 is you actually are able to boost your metabolism by building more muscle. This is my favorite ever thing to do with clients. Like, again, I love this crap, okay? I love this shit. And I love when clients are able to eat more because they have built more muscle. Now, one of our clients, Haley, I don't know if she's listening to this, but one of our clients, Haley, when she started with us, she was literally eating 1,300 calories per day, okay? She was carrying a lot of body fat and she was very under-muscled. What this meant was it took a lot of work for her to lose the body fat. Lo and behold, you start resistance training, you build muscle, you actually build the building blocks of your body to have a stronger foundation. Muscle is also it is just muscle mass, okay? It's body mass. So when you have more muscle, you are going to lose more weight easier because your energy expenditure is easier. I'm going to explain that in a sec, but back to Haley. Haley is now the leanest she has ever been, the muscliest she has ever been, and she doesn't look hulky, she doesn't look bulky, she looks nice, lean, defined, toned. She's eating 2,500 calories a day, okay? I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to spend time dedicated towards building muscle, doing a building phase, doing a reverse diet. If you are always in a diet, if you're always dieting, you never give yourself a chance to be in a prime position to build muscle. If you're constantly in a caloric deficit, you may be able to gain muscle for the first 6 months, or if you are from a place of obesity. However, once you're past that point and you've been training consistently, very hard and very intentionally for 6 months, girl, you are not going to build any more muscle in a deficit, okay? So those of you that are in a deficit, year after year after year, speak to so many ladies that have been on and off a diet for the last 4 years or so. Out of that 4 years, you have had no time intentionally gaining muscle because you're either on a diet or you've fallen off it, okay? There's no dedicated time to building. And that dedicated time to building is where A, you're gonna see the most difference in your physique, B, where you're going to build up your metabolic rate so you can eat more and lose more body fat, and C, it's going to be the most fun time out of all of them because you'll have so much more flexibility with food. So many women think dieting is super restrictive because all they've ever known is restrictive dieting, but that is not how it has to be. So how do we get a higher metabolism? How do we get to eat more through building muscle? Well, the first thing is that when you have more muscle mass, you're essentially going to likely be heavier, okay? I used to be 50 kg. Now, when I was 50 kg, I didn't have a lot of body fat. This meant that because I was a small human, I was 5'2", my body weight was quite light, didn't have a lot of muscle mass, my metabolic rate wasn't very high. My BMR was not very high, okay? It's probably like 1,200 calories and then obviously some activity. So I would probably maintain my calories on around 1,700. Now, I am still 5'2", but I am now 60 kg. So I'm an extra 10 kilograms heavier than I once was. My maintenance calories are now 2,400 to neither gain or lose any weight. So how do you go from eating 1,700 calories to eating 2,400, both to maintain your weight? You build muscle, okay? You build 10 kilos of muscle. And in that point, it is so much easier for me to sustain my body weight. It's so easy for me to lose weight because I don't have to eat that much less, okay? It becomes really, really fun. But this is because I have spent years being uncomfortable in building phases, building the muscle, giving myself the time to actually grow the muscle because you have to give it time, And when those things happen, you are able to increase your metabolic rate. Now, there's a few ways in which it happens. One, again, you are heavier. So when we look at how we calculate your calories, in order to calculate your calories, you're pretty much doing some calculations with your height and your body weight, okay? The heavier you are, the more mass that you have, typically the more you are going to expend because you're just a heavier body. Now, when we look at something like building muscle, of course, the more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to expend on a day-to-day basis. Just me doing this right now, I'm expending more calories. In addition to this, there are a lot of studies that suggest when we are in a deficit, we subconsciously try and preserve our energy, okay? Because we're eating less than our body needs. Now, please do not get this mixed up. This is not me saying you are in starvation mode in any way, shape, or form, because that does not exist. But if you are spending consecutive months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months in restrictive diets, eventually you are going to have some form of adaptive thermogenesis where you are going to actually start expending less and less calories. Now, as I was mentioning a second ago before she got sidetracked, just generally when you are in a deficit, because we try and conserve our energy, you move around less. You are not going to have as much need, just subconsciously, even moving your arms, moving your legs. You maybe choose to walk up, catch a lift instead of walk up the stairs. You don't do these things consciously, but you do them very unconsciously as a means of preserving that energy, plus the combined fact with that adaptive thermogenesis or metabolic adaptation, whichever one you want to call it, which is where your body actually adapts to expending less. Now, that is so much more if you have been in a diet for a very, very long time, but it's worth noting that the less calories that you eat, the longer you diet for, the less calories that you are going to burn. So that is the first component of boosting your metabolism. The second one is the thermogenesis of food, okay? The thermogenic effect of food, TEF. So when you are eating more, you burn more. Simple as, okay? When we are looking at different foods, there are certain foods that burn more calories to digest them, that take more energy to turn that food into an energy source. So take protein, for example, it has a very, very high thermic effect of food. This means for every 100 grams of protein that you eat, you're probably burning a good 80 calories just digesting that food, okay? So it's really, really important to understand this when it comes to food intake. If you are eating 1,200 calories a day, you are not going to be expending a lot of thermic effect of food. Because you're not consuming a lot. You're not having to digest a lot. Now compare that to when I'm eating 2,400 calories a day, or at the peak of my bulk, eating 3,000 calories a day. Imagine how many calories you are using to digest, to break down all of that food. It makes a huge difference in the long run. So this is why it's very, very important if you are in a calorie deficit to be eating high protein and also to be eating very high fibrous foods. This means that it's going to take them a lot longer to break down, a lot longer to digest, and in comparison to something like carbs, which will digest quite fast. It's really, really important that you make those wise choices with your food to increase your thermic effect of food, to digest your food slower so that you're not getting as hungry quite as quickly. So there are so many benefits when it comes to boosting your metabolism. This obviously means then when you do go to lose weight again, whether it be a deficit, whether it be a summer cut, whatever you're doing, it will be so much easier for you to lose body fat because your maintenance calories are higher. In the past, I would have had to cut down to maybe 1,300 calories to be in a caloric deficit. Now my deficit that I'm starting in a few weeks' time will probably start at around 1,800 calories, which was my previous maintenance. So you see, the benefits of building muscle go so much further than just how you look. Now the third benefit is obvious, being stronger and healthier. I want to be able to put boxes on the shelves for the rest of my life. I want to be able to play with my kids in future. I want to be able to play with my grandkids and my great grandkids in future. And a lot of the time, unfortunately, so many women are under muscled and just really, really frail. And when we go through the menopause, we actually lose a lot of our muscle volume. It's a very unfortunate fact of going through the menopause is that you actually lose your muscle mass. It's very hard to build muscle mass post-menopause, okay? So it's really important that as you get older, you continue to resistance train to preserve your muscle mass, to look after your bones. Resistance training, weight training is so incredibly beneficial for your joints, for your bones, for your muscle mass, to be stronger, to be healthier, to be able to run around for longer. A huge injury that a lot of women have is their ACL, their knees, their ankles. And this is purely because we don't have a lot of muscle in those areas. Particularly then, as I mentioned, as you go through the menopause and you lose even more muscle mass, if you have never resistance trained before, you've never been somebody that's looked after your body, you are so much more prone, so much more susceptible to serious injuries after a fall, after hurting yourself. Niggles turn into very big injuries very, very quickly. And I know this is a very personal thing for myself and my family. We have a huge history of osteoporosis on my mum's side. And so my mum's mum, so my grandma, my nana, she passed away at, I think it was 67, very, very young, because she just kept falling. She just kept falling. She'd had 2 hip replacements. Yeah, like just not a great place to be when you are very not looking after yourself, okay? My mum is in her early 50s. I think she's 52. She's already had a knee replacement, a cartilage, I can't remember, and a hip replacement. And that is because she has never resistance trained and absolutely no fault of her own. You know, she never knew these things. And I'm so, so, so grateful that this is now so much more accessible for women compared to how it was 30 years ago. But it is so important for us to understand, if you want to live a long, happy, healthy life, you want to be strong, you don't want to be frail, you've got to build some muscle. You've got to put on some muscle on that frame. This is not just about the here and now. This is future-proofing yourself. This is about longevity. This is about being able to play with your kids and your grandkids and be able to put things on shelves and to be able to be as independent as you can for as long as you can. And I know that that is a huge goal for me, is I never ever want to be unindependent. Of course, it could happen. I can't control the circumstances. It could happen tomorrow. You know, I could get hit by a car. And we can never predict these things. But for as long as I can control it, I will always make sure that I am pushing myself and I am working on being the healthiest version of myself. Now, another incredible benefit of resistance training is for women with things like PCOS that are going through the menopause, any form of condition, particularly related to female health. Resistance training is your best friend. Now, resistance training has incredible benefits for lowering and reducing insulin resistance, which when you have PCOS or you are diabetic is incredible. If you can lower your insulin resistance in any way, shape, or form, you are dramatically going to improve your health, particularly with something like PCOS, where it is actually reversible. If you are able to reduce your insulin resistance, then there is no reason not to resistance train. There are so many benefits in doing so, building muscle mass, reducing your insulin resistance, becoming healthier. It is just a absolutely no-brainer. A lot of the time, women with PCOS are told to do crazy things. Some cases you may need to do the crazy things like cut out the carbs, but for a huge amount of women, we are under muscled and we have too high of insulin. So basically we are eating too many fast processing carbs. What we need to instead do is increase our protein intake, increase our muscle mass by resistance training and modulate it in that way. And I will do another video on PCOS if this is helpful to anyone. If anyone wants a podcast on it or a video on it, like I'm more than happy to do one and explain how you can actually benefit your PCOS, how you can control your PCOS, because a lot of PCOS is misdiagnosed, unfortunately. A lot of PCOS is diagnosed by seeing on a screen, basically when you get yourself scanned, and they will see ovaries, not ovaries. They will see cysts on your ovaries. However, these cysts are often because we have not ovulated. Now, a lack of ovulation can be due to so many different reasons, and that's not what this episode is about, so I will leave it for another one. But again, if we can resistance train and we can increase our health, we can increase our well-being, we can make better nutritional choices, you can actually massively help your PCOS. Now, the next one, the huge benefit of resistance training is building resilience. So many women I speak to wish they had more discipline. They wish they had more resilience. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to exercise. You know, it's something that you have to do when you can't be asked, when it's dark outside, when it's the last thing that you want to do. You will never meet someone that goes to the gym that isn't resilient or disciplined. You will never meet someone that trains 5 days a week that has not got some form of discipline. And you will see it in other areas of their life. Maybe they're doing really well in their career. Maybe their emotional well-being is so much better than yours and you can't quite understand why. It is because through years and years of discipline, through years of consistency, of grit, of getting up when they don't want to, of doing the hard shit that they don't want to, of pushing for that one more rep, one more rep, one more rep, you are building that discipline. You're building that stick to it muscle, okay? It is a muscle that grows like any other. You have to continually train it. And if you don't use it, you lose it. And so going to the gym, resistance training, strength training is absolutely incredible in building this mental resilience. This is where I think it is so like 100 times worth it to get to a gym as opposed to working out from home. We do have a lot of clients that do work out from home purely for convenience sake. Maybe they're mums, maybe they work a lot, maybe they don't have access to a gym. But if you can get to a gym, the environment is completely different. You push yourself to a whole nother level because you're in the gym for a reason. You have the zone. You are in the freaking zone. So building that resilience is the most incredible thing. Now, the number 6 is also leading back to being frail and being strong and being healthy as a woman. But there is an incredible statistic that women who strength train reduce cardiovascular mortality by 30%. 30 freaking percent. And there's also a lot of studies that have shown all cause mortality with resistance training and seen a reduction between 9 and 20%. 9 and 20% reduction in your early cause and all cause mortality by exercising. Like, I know we all know how good it is for us. I know you know how important it is to resistance train, but I really want to emphasize that in this episode, in this video, that the more you train, the more you look after your body, the more you treat your body as a motherfucking temple, the better your body will treat you in the short term and in the long term. And the 7th point is better sex life. Something that we don't often talk about, but as women, we can often feel very, very insecure. And I speak to a lot of women who don't want to get naked in front of their partners. They will only have sex in the dark. They just don't feel very good about themselves. And you deserve to feel fucking good about yourself. You deserve to take your clothes off and think, I'm the bee's knees. I'm a bad bitch. I feel really, really happy in how I look. Better yet, not even thinking about how you look because you're so confident within yourself that it's not really something that's that important to you. It's just a part of who you are, okay? So having better sex life, that can also come from an increase in libido, in different sex hormones, when you resistance train, when you are looking after your health and your hormones. A whole host of illnesses and a whole host of things like PCOS are very much linked to how you look after yourself, from your nutrition, to your sleep, to your stress management, your alcohol intake. All of these different things are going to impact your well-being, your longevity, your overall health. If you can get into one thing, just one thing, like, and find that catalyst for you, everything will change. For me, it was resistance training. I found resistance training and all of a sudden I stopped restricting my nutrition. All of a sudden I stopped the binge cycle. All of a sudden I stopped throwing up after I ate. After I did that, my nutrition, I started fueling my body. Once I started fueling my body, I then started looking after my sleep because I noticed my sleep was trash and that was impacting my training performance. I started looking after my sleep. And because I started looking after my sleep, I had to start looking after my schedule. How can I make sure that I can get everything in before I need to go to bed? Once I did that, I started looking at my habits. What habits aren't helping me get to my goals here? And everything starts to transform as soon as you have that catalyst. That catalyst can be resistance training. That catalyst can be going to the gym 3 times a week. That changes your whole entire life. Your health, it reduces your cardiovascular mortality by 30%. It's going to improve your sex life, improve your health, improve your relationships, improve your discipline, improve your resilience, improve your strength and your mindset and your resilience, improve your overall well-being. You just need to start and to fucking stick with it, and everything will change for you. But resistance training is one of the best things, if not the best thing in my opinion, that women can do to feel more empowered, because it's the catalyst to transforming the rest of your life. And I will scream this until the day that I die, because this has changed my life. I know it can change yours, and it's changed so many other wonderful clients' lives as well. I really hope you take this seriously, and if you don't know where to start with resistance training, I'm going to pop in the description a little free like 3-day workout plan or something along those lines to just get you started, because I just want you to get started. And of course, if you are wanting one-to-one coaching where we build everything out for you, for your nutrition, for your training, for your mindset, for your lifestyle, then I'll also pop the link for that in my bio. As always, if you have enjoyed this podcast, like, leave us a like, leave us a comment. It means the absolute world to know that this is helping somebody. Anywhere, wherever you are, I would love to know. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Go and get your session in, because you are a bad bitch, and bad bitches train hard. Okay, bye.